Iraq, the land of ancient Mesopotamia, and the place where civilization began. In the ruins of the ancient city of Nineveh, old Sumerian tablets from around 1800 BC tell the story of King Gilgamesh. In this epic story, Gilgamesh has a companion named Enkidu, who is described as a hairy wild man living outside human society. What is interesting about the Epic of Gilgamesh is that it tells a story of Enkidu, who was said to be a giant. It is possible that Enkidu, this wild, hairy creature, this giant, could have come from outer space, because that is what the ancient Sumerian texts suggest. Enkidu is described in the Epic of Gilgamesh as a hairy, human-like monster with great strength. When you read that story, you may think that Enkidu is like some kind of Bigfoot or Sasquatch. This could be the first being made by the gods, where they placed their genetic mark on it to create a new being that would serve them. And they called this being Enkidu. Is it possible, as ancient astronaut theorists suggest, that the Epic of Gilgamesh actually describes a human-like creature created by extraterrestrials? Sumerian texts also describe ancient sky gods who came to Earth, called the Anunnaki. The ancient astronaut theory explains that these gods may have been extraterrestrials who placed their genetic mark on this creature, and that creature may have continued to evolve into what we now call Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Do ancient stories about human-like creatures give more proof that this strange being may have really existed in history? Some people believe the giant in the Old Testament story of David and Goliath may also be an early example of Bigfoot. If you think about the story of David and Goliath from the Bible, Goliath is very large and strong and possibly hairy, but he does not live away from people or hide from society. Instead, he is used almost like a weapon to scare the Israelites. When you read the Bible more carefully, you find descriptions of many giants, suggesting that there were other large creatures in the world of our ancestors that we are no longer aware of, and Bigfoot might be one of those types that somehow survived. Whether or not Goliath was a Bigfoot, they both seem to belong to the same type of creature. Something that is not fully human, but still exists and is taller than normal humans. The question is, what is the truth behind this story? Some scholars suggest that Goliath might have been an extraterrestrial, a type of giant, a half-human, half-alien creature that was so frightening that David decided to defeat it. Around the world, in places like South America, Native American lands, Europe, Russia, China, Tibet, and Australia, there are stories of giant, hairy, wild men. Some people say legends are just stories, but when many cultures that are far apart all tell similar stories, it may suggest that these creatures once existed and were common across the world. For many years, visitors to the Mediterranean island of Sardinia have heard strange stories that a race of giants once lived there thousands of years ago. However, apart from many unusual large stone structures, there was little real evidence after 1953 to convince scientists or even ancient astronaut theorists that these giant stories were true. That changed in 1979 when more giant bones were reportedly found during excavations on the island. I spoke with two people who worked on excavations of the Nuragic ruins in the town of Sada, under a church called Sant Anastasia. Both of them said they found several giant skeletons, between 9 and 12 feet tall, at different times, but the bones were taken into the church and then disappeared overnight. There have been many excavations where giant bones were said to be found and then secretly removed. Before leaving Sardinia, Marty and I were supposed to see a real giant bone. Everything was arranged, but then we were told that the person changed his mind and would not show it. Why did he change his mind? Some people believe there may be censorship happening in Sardinia. Is it possible that evidence proving giants once lived there is being hidden? If so, who is hiding it and why? For Giorgio and Marty, this is just one of many unanswered questions from their trip. Let me ask you this. Did ancient astronauts visit Sardinia? I believe there is no doubt that extraterrestrials visited Sardinia in ancient times because similar large stone structures exist in other parts of the world. It all connects to a bigger picture. Our ancestors may have been visited by the same teachers. I respect that idea because it follows a scientific method. You start with a guess and then test it with real evidence. I want to be convinced by facts. If I have done anything, I hope you continue to explore other places and think, maybe that idea has some truth. Do you want me to be convinced? Yes, exactly. That is important. You look at me and say, you truly believe ancient astronauts visited Earth and inspired people to build these structures. I cannot prove you wrong, and I do not think anyone can. So, the story is still open. Yes, and I hope you will read the next part. You write it, and I will read it. Okay, I will read it. In February 2018, at Harvard University, scientists published an important study in the journal Nature about ancient human DNA. They discovered that after Stonehenge was built, the people who built it suddenly disappeared from Britain, leaving almost no DNA in modern people. The study suggests that the genetic traits of the early inhabitants of Britain vanished soon after they built Stonehenge and were replaced by a new group of people in a short time. This discovery is very surprising because it shows a whole civilization disappearing without a trace. Scientists used a new method to study DNA from ancient bones and compare it with modern people to see how much they are related. The new data shows that one population was almost completely replaced by another in a short time. The disappearance of the Stonehenge builders remains a mystery. Could it mean there was a planned removal of certain human genes, as some ancient astronaut theories and flood stories suggest? More clues may come from the discovery of a strange genetic group that scientists cannot easily trace. In 1998, at Emory University in Atlanta, researchers studied DNA from Native American groups to trace their origins. Most were placed into 4 main groups, A, B, C, or D, linked to migrations from Asia thousands of years ago. But a small group did not match any known category, and scientists called it the X lineage. This group appears in a small number of Native Americans and also in some people in Europe and the Middle East, with no clear connection. Scientists were confused because they could not explain how these groups were related. Some believe this. X lineage may be connected to a lost group of people, possibly even giants reported in history. In the 1800s, archaeologists in America found skeletons of very tall humans, between 7 and 8 feet tall. The Smithsonian Institution found many of these in burial mounds of the Adena tribe, especially in West Virginia, known as the Valley of the Iduiti Giants. Researcher William Henry met with a local expert, Jason Gerald, to examine one of these sites. The Smithsonian dug into a mound in 1883 and found a tomb with 11 burials, including one central figure estimated to be around 7 feet tall. This suggests giants may have existed. However, after 1920, reports of giant skeletons were no longer openly accepted. Some believe this evidence was hidden because it does not fit current ideas of human evolution. This raises the question, could these giants have had extraterrestrial DNA? In June 2019, researchers from MIT, Harvard, and Yale found unusual magnetic properties in large stone heads from an ancient Mesoamerican culture called Monte Alto. These statues showed strong magnetic fields, suggesting their creators understood magnetism. Similar findings were made with Olmec stone heads in Mexico, which are made of heavy basalt rock and carefully shaped around magnetic areas. This is surprising because basalt is very hard to carve, especially with simple tools. Some believe these stones were chosen for special properties, possibly for technological use. Ancient astronaut theorists suggest these statues may have been used to store data, similar to how modern magnetic storage works. Scientists today can store large amounts of data using tiny magnetic particles. Could ancient people have used similar ideas in stone? Some researchers think there may be hidden information inside these structures, possibly using advanced methods we do not yet understand. In 1813, a Swiss explorer discovered large stone heads in Egypt, later revealed to be Partu, of the Abu Simbel Temple, built in 1244 BC. These statues are 64 feet tall and represent Pharaoh Ramses II as a god. Twice a year, sunlight enters the temple and lights up statues inside, showing advanced design. Some believe these statues were more than art and may have been used to channel energy. While most scientists see this as symbolic, others think it could be real technology. Around the world, many cultures believed statues had energy or life. For example, the Moai statues on Easter Island were believed to hold spiritual power. This raises the question, were ancient statues built for technological purposes? Scientists say stones are not lifeless. They contain energy and minerals that can behave in different ways. This may explain why ancient people were drawn to them. Similar stories of giants continue in Sardinia, where bones were found but later disappeared, raising questions about hidden evidence. Across the world, there are also mysterious stone structures like obelisks, alignments, and giant statues. Some of the most puzzling are perfectly shaped stone spheres found in many places. These spheres vary in size and may have been shaped by humans. Scientists are unsure how they were made or why. Some believe they represent planets or natural shapes found in nature. In 1939, workers in Costa Rica found many large stone spheres while clearing land. Later studies showed hundreds of these spheres, some very large and heavy. They were likely made by an ancient culture using simple tools, yet their precision is hard to explain. Some think they may have been arranged in patterns or used for special purposes. Local legends say they were made by a god using powerful tools. Ancient astronaut theorists suggest these stories may describe misunderstood advanced technology. Perhaps ancient people saw advanced machines or spacecraft, and later told stories about gods creating these objects.